First, I would like to ask, define what the keto diet is.
Well, keto has actually two definitions. The ketogenic diet, or keto diet, was actually formed with a high fat, adequate protein, low carb diet that in medicine is used primarily to treat difficulties to control epilepsy in children. The diet forces the body to run on fat rather than carbohydrates. The layman's term, or the way keto is viewed by the general public, is it's a very low to no carb food plan that the body reaches a state of ketosis. In ketosis, you drop your insulin level and you rise your glycogen level. By doing this, you use your fat stores to burn off and use as energy. So when your body is in that situation, you will go through several different stages when you're in ketosis for the first time.
So, for the next question we have is, what are the pros for the diet? At least 5.
Okay. There are several pros to the diet. The one and most preliminary one why people actually start keto is for weight loss. It can be basic to rapid weight loss. It also has been prescribed for people with severe obesity and type 2 diabetes. What it also does, it helps regulate your blood sugar so that stays at a mainstream level versus being up and down, where when you're eating a lot of carbohydrates, your insulin level spikes up high and then drops down low. If you've ever eaten a meal or had something very sugary and gotten a big high of energy and all of a sudden felt very tired afterwards, that's your insulin utilizing the energy from the carbohydrates or sugars in your diet. So what keto does is you reduce the amount of sugars you take in so that you're running off the body fat or the fats that you're taking in when you eat. Also, the ketogenic diet has been very effective with people with epilepsy and also been known to help children with autism. Also, it is shown to reverse type 2 diabetes. Some other benefits is the prevention and treatment of various cancers. It shows results in women diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. Basically, it's a hormone disorder caused enlarged ovaries with a small cyst on them. Some other ones is an increase in energy and muscle development. Also, it's a returning to eating the way we were meant to eat. Most of us think of eating, we have, potatoes, pasta, things like that. But back before we had all of the processed foods that we have these days, we actually ate with what we could find and forage and then also kill. So our diets were related to a very high protein, high vegetation style of living. It's also known as the Plato diet, where that one is where you go directly back and only eat things that are organically based and it's a lower in fat style diet.
You said that the keto diet has the ability to cure some cancers. Do you happen to know what some of those are? The third question is, what are some cons? Again, at least 5.
Okay. Well, when you first start the keto diet, it can be very hard to stick to because in our world today, we want to eat carbs. It's all over the place. If you think about it, what's your favorite food? What is your favorite food, Casey?
Pizza.
Okay, so in pizza, you have bread. Bread has carbs. Carbs are the form of energy that turns into glucose in the body, raises your insulin level. But also with pizza, you have a high fat content in your cheese. So when your body is going through this high insulin, it opens up your cells, and not only does the energy from the carbohydrates go in, but the fat from the cheese that you eat goes into those cells as well. That's where the obesity comes in and why pizza is actually one of the worst things to be eating because of the way it affects your body and those things. So it's hard to stick to because if you go out, even if you go out to eat, a lot of the places that you eat have bread. For example, even if you go to a restaurant and have a sandwich, even though the bread may be of a good quality bread, there's still a lot of carbohydrates in that bread. And when you eat that, you change your diet so that you're bringing in not only just protein and fats, but also carbohydrates, which spike your insulin. Some other disadvantages to the keto diet is when you're first starting the diet, you go through what's known as the keto flu. Your energy drops, you start to have severe hunger cravings, and again, a lot of them are based on wanting sweets, super, super sweets, whether it's, ice cream or candy. You may try to supplement it by doing fruits. And again, fruits are one of the misinterpreted items on keto that you cannot have because of in fruits you have the sugar called fructose. Some other disadvantages to that is the keto plan can be very overwhelming. The amount of knowledge you need to stay on it requires some prep work and preparation, so you know what you can eat and how to make sure you maintain yourself in the state of ketosis. Also, it's very easy to fall out of ketosis, especially with a lot of the foods that we have in our world. We'll take something very simple that many people don't realize is ketchup. Now, ketchup is typically what? Made of? Tomatoes and?
Sugar or artificially flavoring.
Well, sugar is in there, yes, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But normally just some vinegar and spices. But again, with a lot of ketchups these days, they have sugar. And it's not just basic sugar or like cane sugar. It's a sugar called high fructose corn syrup. It is literally the worst sugar to have your body take in. It spikes your insulin super high, and the energy you're trying to get from the food can be stored as fat because your insulin goes up so high. Some other things that you need to be able to do is it requires you rethinking the pyramid. When you think of the pyramid, we think of fats as the least amount of intake that you take in, and carbohydrates, breads, potatoes, and things like that, rice, are things that you take in the most. It actually is a complete reversal. The least amount of things you want to take in are your carbs, because carbs on a keto diet actually activate your insulin, and when you're in ketosis, your insulin sensitivity decreases, and because your insulin sensitivity decreases, it causes you to get spikes in your insulin, which kicks you out of ketosis. And when you're kicked out of ketosis, you're no longer burning the fats on your body. Some other disadvantages: it still has a lot of resistance from doctors and other nutritionists. Some people don't believe it's the best diet out there, or there are other ways to help you lose weight. It's a higher fat intake and can be done incorrectly. You need to know the fats that you need to have in your diet so that you don't put yourself at risk of cardiac issues and other fat-related symptoms. You must have a high knowledge about foods so that you can get the nutrients that are provided in them for you. Foods can be more expensive. You're talking more proteins, more fats, and a lot of times you're eating a lot more vegetation. And again, we're talking about processed foods, and in today's world, a processed food is a whole lot less expensive. If you think about it, you can go buy a pack of ramen noodles for $1 or less, or a package of them for pennies on the dollar. Much easier to get that versus going out and buying a bag of mixed greens, which have all the vitamins and nutrients you have. And something that people don't realize is in our vegetables there are carbohydrates. And then finally, there are some other side effects: diarrhea and nausea. A lot of that is because your body is detoxing itself, flushing out the unwanted fats from your body. As you burn fats, a lot of that stuff in your nutritional diet gets flushed out as well. So those are some of these symptoms, and some people don't like having, to go to the bathroom quite a bit.
I think you have a picture. Do you mind showing that to them?
Yes.
And explaining it?
Yep. I have a picture here that shows you the pyramid of the ketogenic or the Plato diet. All right. I'll actually give this to you, Casey, so that you can actually show this to the class and pass it around. On the right here, you'll see a pyramid this says big water. This is fluid intakes. On the top of this is your vitamins, vitamin C, and other spices and things like that. Salt is in water because salt is dissolvable, so it falls into the liquid category. Also, Then you have your other drinks that you have, for example, milk, tea, egg milk, and things like that as well. But as you notice, water is the biggest thing to be drinking when you're on a ketogenic diet. Okay? So like juices and things like that are supposed to be on the very top of this pyramid. People think caffeine is something good, but again, caffeine affects your body on ketosis. So you have to make sure you limit your amount of caffeine you take in. So again, if you're a coffee drinker or say a tea drinker, you need to limit how much you have on a daily basis. So we get to the basic pyramid here, and you see on the top it's labeled fruits. Fruits basically are anything from an apple to kiwi to a pear to cherries. All those fruits are very high in fructose. Also, you notice in this there is no pasta or rice or things like that in the top, because a lot of those are high in sugars, which boost your insulin. Then they go to what they call your safe carbohydrates. A lot of them, there are certain potatoes, squash, sweet potatoes or yams, and again, some rices are very good for you, typically long grain rices versus the super processed rices as well. Okay? Then falls down to your oily stuff, which are right here. And your oily stuff, you're looking at seeds, which are hazelnut, sesame, sunflower, pine nuts, chai, flax seeds, walnuts, poppy, almonds, and cashews. And actually, a little fact about cashews is not a nut. It is actually a legume, part of the pea family. So it's actually not a nut. So there. And then you have your berries. And berries are actually a little bit lower because they are lower on what we call the glycemic index. And the glycemic index is what regulates how much a food affects your insulin production. And berries are on the lower end. Raspberries, strawberries, things along those lines, blueberries are very low. They make very good supplements for a small portion of the carbohydrates that you do take in. Then you get to your proteins. And again, there's a whole variety of proteins between chicken to pork to beef, things like that. And there's a lot of things that help you when you are choosing your proteins, what type of proteins you want to make sure you have. And then on the bottom of the chart, you'll have your fats and oils. And again, this is really key. Some of the best fats that you want to have are fats that stay liquid at room temperature. So olive oil is a good one. Sesame seed oil is really good. Also, one of the best ones is avocados, which is actually a very oily fruit. Also, coconut and what we call suet or tallow, which is also sometimes known as lard. So if you like bacon, thumbs up. You get to eat a lot of bacon because that fat stays at liquid state at room temperature. Then you have your vegetables, which range from anything from broccoli to cauliflower to asparagus to beets and radishes. Some carrots and squash or zucchinis are okay, but they are also considered carbs. They have a high concentration of carbs. So when you're eating a more strict keto diet, you want to stick to leafy greens and non-root vegetables. And then you have some herbs and spices, your lemons, your vinegars, and mustard. And then what are called nightshades. These are a little bit of balance of both, where they are both carbohydrates and provide a lot of nutrients on yourself. And those are like eggplants, peppers, and tomatoes. Okay, so as I said, there's a lot more I could talk about when it comes to the pyramid, but you'll see the leafy greens and the vegetables are the big section in this chart.
Next question we have is question 5. If this is an allergy, explain what happens to your body when this allergic reaction happens, and if there is, what is the treatment or allergen, and can it be fatal?
Well, it's not an allergy per se, but what happens is a lot of the foods that you eat on the ketogenic diet, people do have allergic reactions to. For example, there are people who have nut allergies, egg allergies, fish and shellfish allergies. Now, a lot of those are a big part of the diet, especially salmon. Salmon is one of the big ones because it contains omega-3, and omega-3 is really important to the function of your brain. So you want to make sure your foods you're eating are high in omega-3s, and of course, salmon, a lot of seafood contain good forms of omega fatty 3s. Okay, what you would normally do if someone was to, of course, eat something that was something to be allergic to or didn't know they were allergic to, is you want to first, call 911, administer Benadryl, and if someone does know they're allergic to something like that and they do take that in, use their EpiPen, and then of course make sure you get them to the nearest medical facility or have the ambulance do that. So,
number 4 we have is the diet medically necessary? If so, what would a doctor recommend? Why would a doctor recommend this for a patient?
Well, it depends on the individual and the doctor. Some doctors are against the ketogenic diet, and there are some that are for the ketogenic diet. All diets and lifestyle changes should be consulted by a medical professional and go over the advantages and disadvantages and be regulated by a diet if you're going into something for the first time. So what we have found with a lot of doctors that are prescribing the ketogenic diet is those with type 2 diabetes. As I said before, on the ketogenic diet, it helps reverse type 2 diabetes. You have to have a doctor that believes that or has seen the research that shows that that can be reversed on the ketogenic diet. So with that, it also is to lose weight. If there's someone that's struggling with weight loss, whether it's because of medications that they're on or it is just a hereditary trait, ketogenic diet may be the key to unlocking their ability to lose weight.
Okay, so our 6th question is, if the diet is a lifestyle choice, why would one make this choice?
Well, the diet can be done on a temporary basis, or it can be a lifestyle choice. Myself, personally, I made it a lifestyle choice because of the risk in our family of diabetes. Now, normally in our family, type 1 is what we see, but with obesity, you can get type 2, and I did not want to get type 2 diabetes. I was very overweight. I was over 250 pounds when I started doing this diet or lifestyle change. And now I am down to 185 pounds. It's about 65 pounds down from the time I started this back in September of 2017. Some other things, it's also for weight management, blood sugar irregularities, also people who struggle with mental illness or have struggled with just day-to-day mental thought, what we call fog. On the ketogenic diet, once you get through the keto flu, you actually will see an improvement in your mental health. And for myself, with some brain injury, this has helped sharpen my brain and helped me able to process information much better. A lot of this was due to 2 concussions I had, and I am thinking much more clearly now that I'm on the ketogenic diet than I was before I started this lifestyle.
So question 7, we have, what are the results of this dietary choice, and are people successful with the diet?
Well, my experience, again, it was a lifestyle, and it has helped me begin my major weight loss cycle that I needed. As I said, I've dropped about 65 pounds, and my goal is to get down to about 180 or a little bit lower. And then I will probably move to a on and off cycle of the ketogenic diet, but it will still be a primary focus of my lifestyle. The other thing is it helped improve my muscle structure, my brain function, and it has increased my energy. Yes, if they follow the lifestyle and make a conscious decision to do this, you can be successful. The key thing with any type of diet is that it has to be something that you can stick to. If you can't stick to it, you're not going to be successful, and you will continue the roller coaster of losing weight, gaining weight, losing weight, gaining weight, which is not healthy for you.
Okay. So question 8 is long-term benefits and consequences to the diet.
Well, the lifestyle is still very new, so there is a lot of research both for and against the ketogenic diet. Because of the mainstream high carb lifestyles we live and the sugars that we eat, we still are seeing a lot of resistance to making this move to a lifestyle higher in proteins, vegetables, and fats. And again, we're talking good fats, not bad fats. Myself, I eat better, I am not as hungry, and I actually eat less than I used to. And these are all key elements to a healthy lifestyle. I can go 4 to 6 hours without having hunger cravings, which is very important to maintaining body weight and a healthy lifestyle.
Okay, so question 9 is exercise recommended?
Of course. Exercise is recommended with any type of diet that you do because exercise is a focal point for burning the energy that you take in. We all know on average we burn about 2,000 calories a day. It depends on your age too. At a younger age you burn more. If you're an athlete you burn more. As you get older you start burning less. So those are all factors. So the key here is you are burning a higher level of calories per day so that when you are in ketosis you're burning the calories from your body instead of the food. The food helps you maintain, and then you burn the fat and reduce weight loss. A couple other things with this is that you don't need to go to the gym or have fancy equipment. You can just do some basic weight training stuff at home. Simple push-ups, sit-ups, dips. If you don't know what a dip is, put 2 chairs together side by side and you lower yourself up and down between those 2 chairs. You can also do jumping jacks, going for a walk, climbing stairs. If you got bands in the house, you can use those, or even just some simple weights that you find around. Grab a couple cans from your pantry and use those as weights. So there's a lot of things you can do without spending a lot of money to exercise. And exercise comes in all different types of form. The key is that it's a short, high-intensity style workout.
I know you've talked about this a little bit, but the 10th question is asking how it affects your mood or mental state.
In the beginning, it will affect your mood in a negative way because you're going through that keto flu I talked about. Your mood tends to struggle. You tend to be a little more irritable because you have those hunger cravings. And of course, the physical changes that you go through are your body getting off of this insulin high that you keep wanting to do. And for those of us that are on the ketogenic diet, know that sugars are an addiction. We want to eat sugars because it tastes good and that creates a sense of euphoria. Once you've gone through the withdrawal or that keto flu, you actually start feeling better about not only yourself but the way you think and can process information.
So the 11th question is this a lifestyle change, which for you it was, but or is it a short-term weight loss program?
It can be done for both. The key thing is with any type of diet, if you're making it a short-term goal, that you remember when you come off of it, you need to be careful that you don't do the yo-yo effect with weight. You need to monitor your intake. And what a lot of people find is once they get through the first 2 weeks and that flu period, when they come off of it and they start having sugar, they feel kind of crappy the next day because they give that insulin high and then that big low, just like someone who potentially is on some form of drug, nicotine, or even other things. Alcohol is another thing. I have experienced this before when I used to have what I call a cheat day. And that day was where I would allow myself to eat, pretty much anything I wanted to. And I was always finding myself the next day feeling absolutely horrible. It took a whole day to return to a state that I felt better about. I would end up doing what's called an intermittent fasting. And intermittent fasting is a total new other aspect that I don't want to cover here, but it's a way to put yourself into ketosis much quicker than going through changing your eating habits as well. So you do want to make sure that you're very careful about making it a short-term goal, and then how you come off of it. And a lot of it is a lot of the experts who are into keto say that it's very important that you make sure how you come out of ketosis is just as important as the way you go into ketosis.
One last question I have. This is something that I've had and I've been asked about, but if you have to, how do you supplement vitamins or missing minerals for the diet?
Well, that's a very good question, because what a lot of us don't realize is all the vitamins and minerals we need are actually provided in the food that's out there for us to eat. You need to research which foods you need to eat for those vitamins. Like any lifestyle or diet that you do, you need to make sure that you're eating the right foods and eating them in the right sequence. But also making sure you just don't eat the same stuff over and over again. It is a balancing trick where you want to regulate what you eat on a regular basis. Because if you eat the same thing all the time, not only is it boring, but it also restricts you from some of the other vitamins and minerals that you need on a regular basis.
Well, thank you for helping me with this project today. My dad's going to show you one last picture of himself before and after the diet, and I hope you liked my presentation. Thank you.
So, this is my picture. As you can see over here, this was me back in just before September when I started this diet of 2007. This is a picture back in June of me, and you can see there's a significant difference in my waist compared to this guy. This guy is 250 pounds plus. This guy is about 190. So from September to June, my 60-pound weight loss made a big difference in my life.